Hey there. So today what I want to do is I want to pick up where we left off on the Godot engine, and we're going to continue on starting to build the platformer. So we're going to start from scratch. I did in the how-to or the about the game engine, I have a few things going on there. I'm not going to use those assets because I want to show you how to get stuff into the engine and how to get up and running easily enough. Then, so I'm going to do a little talking about assets to start with. Then I'm going to show you how to do a parallax background, because with the side-scrolling platformer or any side-scrolling game or even some top game stuff, you want to add some life and some action. So some parallax content is great for that. I also want to show you how to get a tile set in and get started using a tile set, and then get a player to drop onto that tile set. If I have time, I'll show you about setting up a 2D shader for like a water effect. I don't know if I'll get time to do that today. I may do that in the next one. I'm going to try and keep these a little bit shorter and just work through the content. So to start off, I'm going to switch over here to the screen capture. And what you're going to see in front of you is a content creator called Gandalf Hardcore. And he has these two packs available here. This asset pack for a side scroller, and this artwork that is also good for a side scroller. They're just base characters. You could do a lot with them. They've got basically what you see on the screen there. Pants, shirts, there is a sword available, and you can use those straight out of the box, bring them in, set up your layers and stuff in Godot. But what I have going on is I have a completely different way of setting them up. I do a little bit of prep in Krita, and then I bring them into this tool, which is the Intersect Character Generator. And what I've done is in my assets, in my bodies, I have my male bodies here, which are the ones that you'll find in the pack. So if I click on these, you can see they're just basic animation sets and action sets. So I've got those there. Then there's also female, and then there's items. So here, for instance, under gloves, there's a sword for the male. So if I click on that, there's a sword action. And there's pants, shirts, etc., etc. But where this program really shines is once you've got your content created, and you can get that at the Intersect website, and it's just under downloads, and it's a free download. But basically, I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit to show you. Under bodies, you could pick, I'm just going to pick male skin 1. Then hair, I went ahead and created a, these are hair, so you could turn hair on or off. There's a brown hair. I'm just going to turn it off to none. Facial hair, there should only be one, and it's a male goatee, and you can see there goatee is in action. Pants, I'm just going to give him green pants. My Baldric McGregor character here. Gloves, there's going to be a male sword. Now, here's a little trick for you why this is such a powerful thing, is that what you can do, I'm going to give him boots. So he's got boots on. You can change the color of anything you want here. So for instance, say this sword, say I want this to be a flame sword, right? So I can come in here to this gloves one, and I can change that, and I can go orange, and boom, there you go. You've got an orange sword layer. Now I can also change the alpha level. So it's transparent, so it disappears, ethereal. I can also change the amount of the orange. So there, that looks a little more like a flaming orange sword, right? And then I could export that out, and I've now got all my character set to work with. Now I've already exported them out, but I wanted to show you this tool because with a little bit of prep, it can be a very powerful tool in order to make your character animations quickly and easily. So keep that in mind. That's at the Intersect website, and it's in the downloads sections, and it's just called the Intersect Character Generator. So, but it's a really good tool. It's free to use. You can use it for whatever you'd like. You can also randomize too. There. Oh, so I've got some artifacts in here from some other characters I had before, but you can see it does a good job by making your NPCs. So there's quite a bit you can do with it to make yourself some characters. So you could turn out art rather quickly from utilizing a bunch of assets. I'm just going to go back to none on that. There we go. And I'm going to export out of here because I don't need any of these characters or items. But I wanted to share that with you and just to show you what that is such a great. Both those are great tools. Now I'm going to go in here into my pre-prepared assets that I've done, which is in my documents, and it should be Dragon's Fury. There's the folder. Then I'll go into my assets here. So I've got a few sounds together, a coin sound, footstep sound, and background music, which is actually the same music that I'm using for my YouTube videos now as a background to just kind of clean up the audio. Scripts. I don't have any scripts in here yet, but they will be there. Images. And then here's Baby Draco. There's my Baldric character. Some clouds. Tile, that platform tile set I told you to get from Gandalf Hardcore. So it's got a few trees and some buildings and some terrain and stuff in there. Now I'm not necessarily going to use all of this in there because I also have some of my own trees and my own stones to put in and paint in the tile sets. However, you don't need to use these because just this one tile set, if you prep it out, that'll get you everything you need to work with. There's some stones in here and some things. So then there's also just some background images, some sky, some trees, some other trees, and you will set these up in Parallax. There's also this just generic thing that I painted in Krita just to kind of look like water, but that's actually going to, you're not going to see that because this will be used as a shader script in order to give you a nice modern reflective water shader. That being said, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close that off and we're going to open up Godot. I'm going to open up and start editing Dragon's Fury. So I've already gone over the editor, and in the introduction to the Godot engine, I did an overview of the editor. So if you've watched that, you should be familiar with the different sections and areas. And if you've played around with Godot at all, you'll know about the certain sections and areas and how they're set up. So you've got your 2D, 3D scripts, asset library, things like that here. So not a big deal, but you should, if you don't know anything about it, you should probably go back and figure it out. Watch my other video and know what you're doing. The other thing is, in the previous video, I did a pitch document, game development document, and it's telling you this game that we're going to make called Dragon's Fury. It's going to be a side scroller with Baldric McGregor. It's always a good idea to have a game document or a pitch document done up to kind of keep you on track of making the game that you're envisioning in your head. And it'll also help you work through things. And if you've got to change things, you can go back and edit, and it's just a really good idea to have a document, and I covered that in the last video. So now we're going to get started building here. So everything is scenes and nodes, and so I'm just going to make a new 2D scene, and I'm just going to call it, that's all right, I'm going to back that out here, and we're just going to call that level 1, and it's just a 2D node. And in that node, now what we want to do is add a child node. And what I want to do right out of the get-go here is I want to add a parallax background. Oh, how did I spell it right? So there's a parallax 2D and then there's a parallax layer. And if you look down here, parallax 2D is listed as experimental. It's to replace the parallax background, so we don't want to use the parallax background or the parallax layer. We're going to use the parallax 2D node. Create. And now in that mode, there's settings and stuff over here, but we don't need to worry about those right now because we can't see anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a child node of that. And that's going to be, we're going to search for Sprite 2D. And we're going to add Sprite 2D. And then we're going to call this, I'm just going to rename that to Clouds. Oh, sorry, Sky. Then I'm going to repeat that. And then I'm going to create a child node of the level again. I don't want it to be a child of this parallax. I want it to be a child of that. So we're going to go add child node. And we're going to, again, we're going to add another Parallax 2D, create, and we're going to add a child node of that. And that's going to be, again, a Sprite 2D. And then we're going to rename that one to Clouds. And we want to do this again. Another Parallax 2D, create, add another child node to that parallax, create, and we're going to name this one Forest. Then we're going to do that one more time. If I can backspace. Parallax 2D, create, add a child node, Sprite 2D, create, and that one, we're going to call it Trees. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to come up here to this first Parallax 2D, where the sky is, where this texture is. We're going to add a new canvas item. So it's a new canvas texture. We're going to click on that. Oh, actually, I don't want a new canvas texture. Sorry. Clear that. I want to go a new. No, I'm just gonna drag it over. I think it is a new canvas texture, but I forget it sometimes. So I want to come in here and I want my sky, this one, and I'm just gonna drag it over, drop it into there. Perfect. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go and link those two together. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to move it undo. I want that. I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I clicked on the wrong actual item number. So we're just going to place that right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. I'm going to leave my scroll scale alone, but I want to come down and under this repeat, I'm going to set this up to 4 times. And I don't need to really worry too much about it, but the repeat size should be the same size as the canvas. So if I hover over it down here, you're going to see it says 1024 by 346. So what I want to do is on my repeat size, I want to make sure to set that as 1024. Okay, now what I want to do is I could play around with that a bit here, but I think what I'm just going to do is I don't need to add anything else there, so I'm just going to leave that at 0. I don't need to repeat it in that direction, and I don't really need to scroll it. this is pretty much your scroll speed here. And I'm just going to set this one to 0 because I don't need it to scroll. And the Y, I want to set that to 0 as well. So those two are linked. You can break the link if you want to set them independently, which we will do in the next item. So now what I want to do is I've got that kind of set up. Now we're going to have to come in here and tweak. But if I zoom out, you'll see now that that's 4 wide. And now what I want to do is on the Parallax 2D clouds, I'm going to go here onto my sprite image. It's empty. And I'm going to just drag a cloud over here. Which one? I'll just drag this one over. You could do multiple layers of this. I'm just doing one. There's one. And I actually want to change my size on this. So I need to transform this cloud. Scale. Let's bring it up by 10. And then that looks pretty good. We're going to leave that at 10. And I'm going to actually link it by linking my parallax. Then moving it. And I'm just going to put it right in the center. That looks pretty good there. What's my size on it? I'm just going to leave these. These auto-adjusted on my scroll offset because of where I moved it to and stuff. So what I do want to do is on my repeat, I'm just going to leave it at 5 here. And that one I probably want to... Actually, I don't know if I want to auto-scroll that or not. I might have to auto-scroll that. But anyway, I'm going to leave that like that. Then we're going to come down here to this next one, which is the forest. And I'm going to bring in this one here. And that one I'm going to parallax, link it, and I'm going to go here on the repeat. We're going to do 4 again, repeat size. Now if I hover over this again, 1024 by 346, 1024. But I want my position down. That's pretty good there. Now I want to come down here to my next parallax, and that one's going to be trees, and that's this one. Okay, and now we're gonna go parallax, linked, and we're gonna go to repeat. Perfect. Okay. So now what I want to do is, I've got this, and I'm going to move down this way, lined up with that line. That's pretty good. Again, I want to go on my here and set my 1024. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got my basic setup here. I think that it needs to move up just a hair. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now I haven't played around with the speed on these yet. That's the scroll scale up here. because we don't have a player or anything on here yet. So what I'm going to do next is we're just going to save our scene. Saving frequent is always a good thing. And now what I want to do is I want to just set up a block to represent the camera in game. We don't have anything yet. So what I need to do is I need to set up, as part of level 1, add a child node, and we're going to set that up as a character body, 2D, which represents our player character. So now it's going to warn you here that it can't be, it has no shape or anything. So now what I need to do is add a child node, and that I'm going to add sprite 2D, animated sprite 2D. Create. So I want to create an animated sprite 2D, and that needs an animation attached to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, new sprite frames. Then I just have to click on that and it'll open the animated editor for me. So from here what I can do is I can create a new animation, or I can change this one, and we're just going to call this Baldric Idle. I actually want an underscore in there, but I don't necessarily want Baldric all the way. I'm just going to call it B. I'm going to call it capital B underscore idle. And then, no, we're going to go lowercase. Keep it simple, because when it comes to scripting, you're going to want simple. So we got that. Perfect. Now we come over here to this. And then that lets us go into assets. We're going to go into images. And then there's our Baldric. We're going to open that. And we're going to set this. You can see this grid does not line up with the character sheet that we created in the intersect character editor from the Gandalf hardcore assets. So you just change here until they match. So right there, it looks like we've got 10 frames. Look pretty good this way, but vertically we're still off, so we need to go right about there. So we've got 10 by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we've got 10 by 7. So we're good there. So now what I want to do is add my frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add 5 frames. So there we go. I now have 5 frames, and I want this to actually play at, we're just going to go at 10 frames a second is what we're going to do, so that you've got some motion. If you go much slower than that, you're going to get jaggies, and it really doesn't matter if something like an idle repeats itself and starts over again. So we're just going to leave that at 10 frames. Right here, this is animation looping. So this particular animation, if loaded into the game, will continue to loop on this particular animation. And I do want this to be the autoplay on load. So we've got that set up. So now we'll come back here and add more later. However, what we're going to do for right now is we want to just drag that character body onto screen, but we need to lock them together. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to go right click. Oh, we don't want to lock them yet. Sorry. One more step. Add collision shape 2D, because we want to set up a collision shape for them. And it's important that that is attached to the character body 2D, not the animated sprite 2D. So if the character body is the actual player character, everything, the whole kit and caboodle, and then the sprite's just the visible part of it, the collision shape is the part that you see, and then we'll be attaching a script later on to that to make him move around. So collision shape 2D, you can choose any shape you want. I like choosing a new capsule shape, and now you can see a capsule just appeared here, but it's pretty hard for you to see. So I'm just going to drag this down here. And then I'm just going to move that capsule shape down. Top of his head. And I'm just going to transform it a bit here. Just a bit above his feet and a bit below the top of his head. And then I'm just going to bring him into about his shoulders. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lock those items together. And then we're going to bring him down here. And I just want to bring him down to about here. Then I want to add one more thing to him. But I'm going to demonstrate this right now. No, you know what? I'm just going to add it. Right click, add a child node, and we're going to go camera. And we want to just add a camera 2D, create. And now I'll go into that camera, and you could set the zoom for it. So there's an offset, zoom, etc. I'm going to make this zoom in 2 times. That's all I need. All right. Now what I want to do is just save the scene again. And we're going to play it. And we're going to select the current. We can change it later. And here we are. So now we don't see any scrolling yet. But we do see the zoomed in. And we can't move the character or do anything yet. We didn't really need that at this point in time. So we're going to close that. And now we can come back over to here and set up our parallaxing. So the first thing I want to do is go to this one. We're not going to move the clouds in the background. I just wanted it, or the sky in the background. I just wanted it to repeat and take up the whole sky. But on this one, what I'd like to do is on the clouds, it was 55 by 16. Was that the right one? I think so. Don't need to repeat on the other angle. And auto scroll, let's just set that to 10 pixels. And let's hit play again and see if the cloud starts moving. There, you can see the cloud starting to move by now. So he's scrolling by 10 pixels. And then he's repeating. So the reason that he's repeating is probably because I've told him to only go by 55. And what I need to do, set that for 1024. Hit play, and then that is more or less the size of the screen. Now I've set him pretty slow, so I'm just going to change that speed. So instead of 10 pixels, let's bring that up to 50 pixels just for demonstration purposes. Play. And now we've got a parallaxing layer of our cloud just zipping by. And now remember, it was only 55 pixels, but I blew it up. But I probably blew it up too big, so I'm going to change the scale on that. It's a little bit grainy for me there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in that parallax, and in the transform, it's in the transform of the parallax layer. No, it was in the transform of the clouds. I'm going to simply tip my transform. If I can see my transform, there's my transform. Scale, I have it set at 10 times. Let's just set it to 5 times. There we go. And play. And you'll see that's just going to be a little bit better now. Not quite as grainy. Clouds are moving by pretty quick. I actually don't mind them moving by that quick. That adds some depth, but I'm going to slow that down just a little bit. So we go back here to the parallax layer, and then we're going to change that down. Instead of 50 pixels on the auto scroll, we're going to set that to 25. And then we're just going to go here. Perfect. All right. Now there is one thing if I use auto scroll, I might be able to set this to 0. I'm not sure, and then it just continues to play. Yes, yeah. So that's for auto scroll. So if you turn the repeat off for auto scroll, it'll just keep scrolling. But you can also put it on if you want it to repeat over the screen. Okay, I'm not quite finished the parallax. I've shown you most of it. There's a little bit of layering to be done, but we're gonna have to pick up there in the next one, and then we'll also jump into the tile set because I've gone a half an hour now, and I want to try and keep these to about a half an hour in length. So in the next one, we'll pick up where we left off, finish off the parallaxing, and I'll show you how to set up the tile map, bring it in, and get your character all tied into it with motion and stuff. So I'll see you in the next one.